Hi everyone, KD here. Today I want to give you a quick talking video about Diablo 4 start and what are my plans. I'll cover some topics like what class will I play, what class you should play, how to make a build if you go blind into the launch, few very useful tips for the start, and finally, what are my plans for the first week and for the community. Let's get into it. I have not completely decided yet. I'm choosing between Rogue and Barbarian. I really like both classes in the beta, especially Rogue with her mobility skills and really fast agile gameplay, and spoiler of course I will play melee Rogue if I choose it, but also Barbarian. Even though there were some issues with the few regeneration in the beginning, I did really enjoy the class in the fantasy and how it really felt to smash demons and so on. So I will still give it a little bit of a thought, but most likely one of those two will be my launch character. As for the build, I didn't really theory craft anything, so I will just choose the skill that I like and then I will build around it. As for what class you should play, I think it's pretty simple. If you really want to succeed and be mega giga chad of the world first server whatever launch, then you know what, just go to one of those content creators that have played it already and laid out some tier list, choose the class that is on the S tier and go for it. If you want to make your own but you don't know really what class to start and so on, then I have really a couple of simple questions. Have you played the beta? If you did you manage to play all characters? So which one did you like more? Which playstyle did you like more? If you haven't played the beta, then again, it is quite simple. You only have to choose based on a fantasy, right? So what class is closer to you, what speaks to you the most, and then just go with it. Diablo 4 really offers the ability to create a build around whatever fantasy you want, so you will be able to find something that you like. And then of course, moving forward you will see if it's good, if you need to change something, tweak and so on. But now you will probably be asking, so how do I make a build if I really didn't play before and I don't know what to do? So here are my really basic tips, but I think they're coming from the common sense mentality and they will definitely help you. At least this is what I will be using in my starting build. So first of all, about skills. You need to choose basic and core skills that you like. Luckily, early on the respecking is really easy, but I think by level 10 you could definitely already figure out if you, for example, like Rend from Barbarian or Flay, or maybe you like more of the upheaval and lunging strike. So just choose, play around early levels and see which of these two skill clusters you like the most. The next step would be pretty much to see what statuses they can apply and how to synergize them. So for example, vulnerability. Often the enhanced and improved skill can provide some of those statuses in certain conditions, so see which ones are there and how to synergize it between them. Next, you would want to search for that status in the keywords to find other skills that complement it. Also, it is important to note that some skills have other keywords that can be used and looked up in this search. Again, this will give you a little bit of an outline from what skills to choose that work together well. Next, you typically want to have at least one movement ability like charge or leap or dash or whatever, and one ability that will generate your resource in a bigger amount. So it is always kind of one skill to click to get a huge amount of resource that you can immediately spend to deal a lot of damage. This is especially helpful for boss fights. And these four skills will actually make your core build mechanic. They will create kind of a structure of what you have. Then for the rest you can experiment, test other skills and decide what you like more. Of course, again, look for something that is complementing to you, but there are often multiple choices, so see if you need more defensive abilities, more moving abilities, more damage dealing or something in between. By the moment you reach Paragon board, you will likely have better idea what to choose there. At least this is what I'm looking for, because I haven't looked into Paragon boards and I'm pretty sure they could be build defining and maybe even altering. But again, they're coming way later into the game. After let's say 20, 30, 40 hours of gameplay, you will probably know what your build or what your class needs. Now, second very important part of build making is of course your legendary powers or aspects. So legendary powers from items drops can only be extracted and used once. Therefore, focus on completing dungeons with aspects for your class to have them available at the codex. While playing through and leveling, you will often switch your gear, and having to lose those legendary powers could be really painful, especially those that synergize with your core or basic skill powers. And of course, third, one of the most important aspects of your build making is your gear. So speaking of items, make sure to upgrade your weapon as often as possible, as falling behind 3-5 levels will already be pretty noticeable and quite tough to compensate elsewhere. You could always easily identify if you're falling behind by the item power of the newly found item and the item you have right now. With defensive slots, it is less of an issue, and if you have a nice legendary item overall, it can stay without change longer. If you cannot find an item to upgrade some old weapon or armor, farm a few events to collect obos and gamble for it. This is the fastest way to cover some gaps in your gear and also a good leveling option. Typically, I would look into item powers that are the lowest on my gear slots and focus on those first to gamble. And lastly, I think it's pretty obvious, but forget about upgrading items, adding sockets or rerolling stats early on. Once again, you will replace items fairly often and all those improvements will be gone. Alright, regarding the few useful tips that I collected, and once again I have not played any early access, I did not play any early endgame beta whatsoever, so that's again coming from some experience from the betas and just common sense. I have a full video here that I already explained before for the beta, but just as a quick refresher and some additional tips. Enable advanced item stats and full comparison in the game menu. That will help you decide what gear to use and what to switch. Really, this is so important, not sure why it's not there by default. It provides a lot of information and can be a little bit overwhelming, but believe me, this is the one thing that you really want to use always. Next one is that early on you will need quite some gold for adding aspects and few other things. Sell roughly 50% of items, rest salvage for materials. If it is not fixed for the launch, then extracting aspects that you don't need and selling them is a great way to make some profit. In beta it used to be about 30% more gold than just selling a legendary, can you believe it? If you are like me, don't forget to craft and use elixirs all the time. Also, remember that you can combine some of those ingredients into others and craft better elixirs this way. And lastly, there are a bunch of activities on your playthrough, like dungeons, storyline, exploration, and so on. It's a good idea to balance it in order to have meaningful progress on all fronts and also not to get bored. If with main story it's quite clear for direction, the exploration and grind can get out of hand sometimes. I would recommend to focus on getting regional rewards that, for example, in Act 1 give you 2 additional skill points. This means you will do some side quests, explore the world, find a few Lilith altars, and while doing so, grind a few useful dungeons for your build. You can always come back and complete the regions. Alright, so now let's talk a bit about my plan. I'm taking a week off and going to play on the 6th of June, quite early, around 7 AM. Sorry Blizzard, but I ain't starting at 1 AM in the EU. I will be streaming daily here on YouTube, so make sure to come and chat. I'm going full blind mode except what we had in the beta. Act 1 I will try to breeze through as fast as possible and get required aspects for my character, plus we'll try to obtain those regional rewards that I mentioned before. After that we will move on with the exploration and follow storyline to experience it all. No sweat or world first stuff here. My goal is to complete main story that week and start advancing towards endgame. After that we'll explore what game has to offer for a couple of months, leading up to a Season 1 launch. Very likely I will also start a second or maybe even a third class. I will create a clan in Diablo 4 as soon as possible and will share it in Discord and YouTube community post. Everybody is welcome, and it will be a place for people to group up, grind endgame, do world bosses, maybe play through on the alts, do some PvP fun and so on. If you are ready to help others with questions, enjoy some fun together and make it a comfy place, you are welcome to join. Remember, communities are not born, they are made by the contributions of every member. Good luck, and I see you in Sanctuary.